everyone. Welcome to episode 2. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of my Let's Talk series. You all were so wonderful, and the response was really good with my last video, so thank you. We talked about all things vegan, and this week it is May, so I figured we should talk about Mental Health Awareness Month because that is such an important topic. And same as last episode, I have my trusty notebook of questions that I asked you guys to submit if you have any questions about mental health. And yeah, this is looks a little weird, but whatever, we're gonna roll with it. Okay, so me personally, I have dealt with clinical depression and anxiety and insomnia from anxiety and all of those fun things, honestly, ever since I was in first grade, I think. Depression runs in my family. It's definitely a hereditary thing, and I have been on medications for a long time because of it. And I started getting really bad anxiety with panic attacks probably 5 to 10 years ago. And yeah, so I can totally understand and relate to this topic. I think that, like I said, mental health is something that I feel like as a society we're getting more open about and accepting about, but I think there's still kind of that stigma of if you're depressed and if you're anxious, you have to act a certain way and look a certain way. But the reality is, more often than not, people are struggling with some sort of mental health issue. And I think it's really important that we raise awareness and just know that you got, if you're feeling any sort of those anxiousness or depressive type thoughts, that you're not alone. I just looked it up. There's over 5 million, I think, diagnosed cases, and that's people that have actually gone to the doctor. Think of how many of us haven't actually gone to the doctor and been officially diagnosed. So there's millions of us out there who are in the same boat, who are struggling. And unfortunately, what I have found is depression, anxiety, it's not something that you can cure. It's something that you can maintain. I personally am on medication. I've been on medication and it helps, but it's not going to fix, that overnight. You're not going to completely lose those feelings. So with that being said, one of my first questions that I was asked was, what do I do if I get that feeling of your heart is pounding out of your chest, you're shaking, and you physically cannot breathe? So this question to me sounds like someone who might be explaining their version of an anxiety attack. So usually when I personally have anxiety attacks, it's triggered by something. So it's triggered by some sort of stressor that is going on in my life. Maybe I feel like I can't control a situation, and I will actually feel these exact feelings that were described here. My heart will start racing out of my chest to the point where I literally want to look down and am expecting to see, right in the cartoons, when you see the heart pounding out of the chest. I do get the shakes, and I also definitely can't breathe. And this sounds so cliche, but what I have found in these situations that works best for me is just breathing slowly. Breathing into 5. Letting go for 5. It sounds so silly, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but that is the best thing that I can recommend. Just focusing on your breathing, listening to your breathing, and segue from that. But also, obviously, once you're in that situation, it's just about controlling and getting yourself out of the panic attack mode. But what I have found is try to figure out what is really causing that. What is causing these feelings of panic and anxiety and just feelings of complete despair that your body is responding so drastically. And I think for me personally, again, side note, you all know this, but I feel like I should say it. I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. So this is all things that I have done and I have learned just through experience and living life. But figuring out what is the cause of your stressor, because I went through a period, and this is not very long ago, where my anxiety was so bad. I was not sleeping at night. I literally it would be bedtime and I would just start pacing. Like my anxiety was so bad, my heart racing was so bad. And it wasn't really until I kind of sat down with my thoughts and was like, okay, like let's figure out what is actually triggering these feelings of anxiety. Because yes, I know that genetically I am predisposed to depression and anxiety. It does come hereditary, but also there's like all these outside sources that also can affect your mood and your well-being. So I think it's really figuring out what in your life, whether it be a person, whether it be, something like a job or a social media, like just figuring out what really is causing that trigger. And I think once you can figure that out and eliminate that from your life, you're going to feel so much happier. So that would be my biggest advice for that. Another question I had was, what was my biggest struggle during COVID? So I have found, again, just as someone who has kind of dealt with depression and anxiety their whole life, that COVID was challenging. And the most challenging thing about COVID was I do really well with routine. So when I was kind of thrown off of my routine, I feel like that actually really triggered my anxiety and depression more. Anxiety, because it was just like, what should I do? What do I do with my life? And depression because like, if I'm sitting on the couch and like, don't know what is going on and, if I'm going to be working or if I'm going to be sick or if my family's going to be sick, that really was hard on me. But I found that reestablishing a normal routine and a sense of normalcy really helped my mental health. So I made sure like I was always getting up at the same time every day. I was, working out. I was making sure I was eating right because I'm a very, very emotional eater. When I am depressed, like you don't even know how much I eat. Okay. Like I am the definition of like depressive eater. So just making sure that, excuse me, I'm staying with a routine that really helps me get through COVID, and just kind of like keep my sanity in complete honesty. Okay, another question I got was, and I feel like honestly this next question is at some point going to be its own topic, but another question I got was, how do I deal with body image, body dysmorphia? Again, this is something I've briefly talked about, and it kind of goes back to what I was just talking about, but I definitely struggled with a phase where I was so worried about my weight and my looks for going into like certain events or photo shoots that I would absolutely like not eat anything or starve myself or go on these like crazy juice cleanses. And then the event would come, great. And then after the event, I would just like ingest burgers, fries, vegan burgers, fries, ice cream, desserts, like. And it just turned into this massive cycle where I just always felt like I needed to go on this crazy diet to look a certain way. And, after the diet, I would just like completely binge and eat. And then that's like the cycle, right? Where you just then start feeling bad about yourself. And then it's just continuous. So I feel like it wasn't until I kind of like got that in check a little bit more, that my body image felt a little bit better. I think also, and again, this is something that I don't think is going to come as any surprise to anyone, but I think social media has played a big part with our body image and maybe viewing ourselves in a lesser version of ourselves that we actually are. I think that it is very important if you're following an account, or if you see a picture that makes you feel like a certain way, I think it's a simple unfollow, right? You don't need to see someone that maybe you're like, man, they look so great. I wish I could look like them. And then that makes you feel a certain way, or it makes you feel bad. Like unfollow them. If you're following someone and they're not motivating you, they're only making you feel like negative about yourself, whether it's intentional on their part or not. It doesn't matter. This is about you. Unfollow them. because I think social media definitely, like I said, plays a part. And I think it's important too for us all to remember that a lot of what we see on social media is not even real. I mean, feel like I've seen just, and I'm sure everyone has, like crazy, like people that like, you know, they really look like this and then they edit themselves to like look like this. And, you know, it's like sometimes you're feeling bad about yourself over a picture and that person doesn't even really look like that. And I'll be honest, I used to do that. I used to look at like, especially my thighs. That's like my biggest insecurity. I would see a picture and look at it and then look at my picture of my thighs and be like, oh my gosh, I look horrible. But I think it's just like learning to love yourself and just knowing that everybody's different. And like I said, social media, so much of it can make you feel a negative way. So I think it's important if you're on social media and you're following an account or, you know, seeing things that are making you feel negative, then just unfollow them because it's not worth it. And I think, too, that this is, like I said, I could talk about this topic forever. So, yeah, I guess my biggest thing is just body image. Yes, I think everybody struggles with it. And I think just, you know, everybody's body type is different. I think do your best, make sure that you're eating healthy and you're getting enough adequate sleep and getting enough exercise, and just let the rest fall into play. Because honestly, like when I have stopped stressing out so much, I feel like I'm in better shape now than when I was going through my periods of starving myself and only doing like 2 hours of cardio. And I think like when you feel good about yourself, like truly happy, like it shows on the outside and your body is gonna thank you for treating your mental health kindly. Your body will thank you, if that makes sense. Okay, my next question I got was how to best help those feeling down. My biggest thing would be just make sure that that person knows you're there for them. I think people that are going through depression, people that are going through any struggles in their life, even if it's not mental health related, like it's just be a friend, be a family member, and just let them know, hey, I'm here for you. I'm not forcing you to talk, but I'm always here for you. Because I think the biggest thing is when you're going through any sort of depression or anxiety, it's just you feel so alone. And for me personally, like I sometimes just feel like the world is against me. So, excuse me, just knowing that I have a support system and people that I can call, even if it's just to call and literally just nothing. I just know that there's someone on the other end of that phone that is there and cares about me. I think that is the biggest piece of advice I can give. And just, yeah, being there and not being judgmental, I put like some trigger sentences that I looked up, not saying things like get over it or snap out of it or stop being so negative or we all have bad days. We don't know what someone's going through, right? Like on the outside, they may look fine. We might not understand why they're feeling a certain way. We might think it's silly, but it's not silly at all. And if they are truly suffering from depression and anxiety, a lot of times they feel like it's out of their control. So like I said, just being there for someone and making sure and checking in, I love you, how are you? Or sending them like a funny picture of a dog, like just knowing that they have someone there, I think is the biggest thing. So yeah, that is it in a nutshell. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I'm more than happy to share anything else. And I'm excited to see how you liked this episode. And yeah, mental health is amazing. And I think it's something that we all need to take seriously and we all need to be empathetic towards. And I hope you all have a great day and know that you are loved and you are beautiful. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of my Let's Talk